Train is full force right now, so we call it the route of carne asada, the roasted meat route. And usually the parties and the leaders will go around restaurants and roasted pigs and whatnot. So it's fun to see the politicians finally
Full force.
well mingling with the people that they do represent.
Yes.
And but the perception that I have, I may be wrong, but we'll end up with the same result as we departed. So a lot of people are seeing these elections are somewhat of a nuisance and they won't add up anything. The political landscape won't change a lot. At least this is what the polls have been transmitting. I may be wrong, but I do have that feeling as well. So let's wait and see. And for people that are voting in anticipation, like I am, the next weekend is the weekend that I'll vote. And then for normal voters, they will vote on the 18th.
It's weird, isn't it? It's like it's being called the election nobody wants.
Yes.
So if you're having an election, you want change, but actually we don't, do we? So like, why have it at all? It's quite it's quite a
Yeah,
pain, isn't it?
it's I'm a bit surprised because I was considering that the political scandal of the prime minister would have more effect in the polls, but it doesn't seem like it. So at the end of the day, it feels like these elections were, of course, caused by the party that was in power. They probably want to have well consolidate their position. But still, just the whole feeling behind elections. I'm a Democrat. I like to have elections, but this time it just feels off. It doesn't feel like we should be having these elections. But
Right.
well, we're here now, and we'll need to follow through.
Okay, hopefully not too much turbulence, and then on the 19th we can just get on with it,
Yep.
get back to life as kind of normal, new normal, right?
Mhm.
Daniel, anything else to share with us from the world of law or government?
Well, today was quite a busy day for me, so I haven't seen the news. I have no idea what's going on in the world. So apart from the having dinner and sitting down here at the table, I don't have anything to convey in the world of law,
Right.
unfortunately.
Sounds like you've had no worries. You've had a busy day. Just take it
Yes.
easy. Any
Thank
questions
you.
we've got for you about law, they will of course be fielded by you.
Thank you
So if
very
you've got any questions to do with law and the services of Daniel Dos Reis from Reis and Pelicano, please pop them in the chat and we'll make sure they get to him. Let's go straight to Gilda now. Ima seem to have been quite busy. News flashes of certain immigrants being asked to leave the country, 4,500 of them, I think, Gilda. Is this all sort of pre-election stuff? Is that why this has been going on, to sort of be sending out the right sort of notes around the world, possibly? Good evening to you. How are you? And what's going on?
Hi. So, my position about that is that's nothing new. Okay. It's just administrative work from IMA being done,
Right.
because if you don't fulfill the requirements for a residency permit, you get the notice to kindly leave the country in 20 days because you are not going to be granted with the residence permit if you don't comply with the law.
Amazing.
So all of this is normal. This
Yep.
has always happened
Yes.
and will keep happening. But the politicians felt the need to come out to the news to do this advertise, just because we know that many people are concerned about migration. So it was kind of a net news, but unnecessary news, because it's something that happens every year and every day. It's just I'm doing their work, but they came to the TV talking about this, just in my opinion, to gain some votes from the right wing.
Very interesting. Somewhat disingenuous, perhaps. So just business as normal, but it's been turned into a news story.
Yes.
But and it does cause concern, doesn't it? I mean, for it to do
It
that, whilst
caused
it's
a lot of
yeah,
concern to
yeah,
many people,
of
many
course,
clients, and I
yeah.
was, no, this is just normal things as it was always. So it's just political advertisement.
Do you know what? I'm really glad I asked you, because I was a bit hesitant to do that because it is quite alarmist. But you've given us such a good answer on that and allayed our fears. So that's fantastic. Thank you very much. Anything else to say from the front line of migration?
Yes. I don't know if you know, but there is a new kind of law to hire for big companies to hire employees.
All right. Okay.
Yes, and it's a new regulation. And I'm going to give a seminar about it in Lisbon and in Porto on the 14th and 15th of May. So if you are interested, or if you know anyone that wants to hire foreign people, you can
Very
get in
good.
touch.
All right. Excellent. Okay. Roadshow. Excellent
Yeah.
stuff. EIA on the road there. Is that everything from you for the time being, Gilda?
Yes.
I think maybe you've got some new glasses though. Am I right?
Yes.
Right.
Thank you for noticing that.
No, my pleasure. I like to notice these things. Thanks, Jerry. Okay, all right. Let's stay with EI with a talk to Pedro. Pedro Franco, how are you this evening?
Hello, Carl. Hello, all. Good, good. Um, in terms of news from our sides, we just have been having some issues with Portal das Finanças,
Oh,
and
really?
I don't know if you have experienced it or not, Carl.
I was on there yesterday and managed to do what I wanted to do. Have there been some
Yeah,
issues with
yesterday it was up, but since the blackout, there has been some issues,
Right.
not just in the tax website, but also in other public websites as well.
Oh, chaos.
For
Right.
example, the EMTT, which is for renovating your driver's license, for example. But there was a good side of this, is that the tax authorities and the Ministry of Finance has decided to postpone the deadline for the new NHR applicants. They can still apply for 2024 for until May 26. So we are talking about this new incentive,
Yes.
which is not like the old NHR, but it has been we have been taking some people submitting inscriptions for this,
Mhm.
and now it has been postponed, which is good. There is still opportunity for those who are who arrived in 2024 to
Yeah.
submit for that year.
Very good. And we should make it very clear, extremely clear. This is not an extension of the NHR as people knew it. This is an extension of the NHR 2.0, as some people refer to
Exactly.
it. Yes. Okay. Presumably as well, you will be dealing with people who are coming to the end of the old NHR. Is it worth people getting in touch with you to find out what the implications will be? Can you run them through what do they call simulations and let them know what they're up against in year 11?
Yes, many people ask for that already. So yeah, that's good thing yet to give the heads up on that, Carl. Thank you.
Yes.
It's many people want to understand what will be the implications, because we started in 2010, so many of these old NHRs have ended. But yeah, most newcomers came maybe in 2017, so it will end in 2026. So those folks need to understand what will happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
And they can make some anticipations. For example, they can make planning decisions that will
Yes.
affect, and they can anticipate that. Yeah.
Yes, because I think, it can be quite a significant change for people. So it's best to be aware of what's going on. And a merchandise opportunity, Jerry. I had the original NHR T-shirts, possibly with Expats Portugal as well. Thanks, Pedro Franco. Any questions about taxation here in Portugal? We'll put those to Pedro this evening. And yeah, that extension that was mentioned there, that's for the NHR 2.0, not the original service or project. Great. Thanks, Pedro, for being here this evening. No, have you had a chance to have a quick rest? Really great effort in the last webinar. Thank you for being here. I don't know if there's any sort of headline news from the insurance industry that you want to share with us this evening.
Well, there is one advance that we did on the last two weeks. That is, we are now allowed to insure properties out of Portugal, even in the States, so homes, for people that already have their home insured here in Portugal.
Oh, right.
So
Okay.
this is something that we could provide now also.
All right, so let me clarify that. So somebody is a customer of yours, they're a resident in Portugal now. They've got property back in the United States. They could add their American property insurance to the portfolio that they have with you at Winsurance.
Yes, yes, yes.
Good to know. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I won't
It
give
is.
you too much work to do this evening. You've already worked very hard. That webinar will be available on the Expats Portugal website on Sunday. Fantastic. Now, is that Neil we've got from Spartan FX there, or a different Neil this evening? Is that you, Neil, from Spartan?
No, this is just Neil from the Great Unwashed.
Oh, okay. So I can't ask you any questions about the currency markets.
Well, you can, but I can't answer.
Okay, I'll move on then. I've got some news. Thanks, Neil. Sorry to put you on the spot like that. I have got some headline news of my own to share with you this evening. Can you see? Yes, you can. Okay, just a few news tidbits for you this evening. This is a leftover from the outage of last week. This went all the way back to Birmingham in the UK, home of the Peaky Blinders, of course, in the UK, not Birmingham, Alabama. UK tourists in Spain, Portugal, France urged to obey new cash rule this summer. Holidaymakers have been warned to ensure they are keeping coins and banknotes on them amid the threat of power outages. UK tourists in Spain, Portugal, and France. It's suggested basically that you carry some cash, and I think a few of us did get caught short with that in the outage, not having any cash store of some sort at home. I think the same applies to holidaymakers. If you're coming over, it's worth making sure, as well as all your cards and the ways you've become accustomed to paying. I think, Jerry, you were saying when you're in the UK, you rarely used any cash, if any at all. It was all done on cards and phones. If you're coming to Portugal anytime soon, make sure you've got some cash in the form of notes and coins as well. Thank you, Birmingham Live, for that. This I thought was very interesting. Portugal tourism, no signs of a slowdown from US visitors. Very interesting numbers here. According to data from Portugal's National Statistics Institute, the INE, the Bank of Portugal as well on that, BDP, the US market contributed almost 5.2 million overnight stays in 2024 to Portuguese tourism, an increase of 12.1% on 2023. And last year, Portugal welcomed 2.3 million US tourists, which is amazing, isn't it? An increase of, well, if you've been at the airports, I guess you'll have got a sense of that in the last year. An increase of 11.7% on 23. These US tourists spent 2.87 billion in Portugal, a year-on-year increase of 13.9%, meaning that the US is now Portugal's fourth largest market in terms of tourism revenues, having overtaken the Spanish. So Sarah isn't here, but she is. If you want to send her a message, if you know Sarah, as many of you do, to congratulate her on her Portuversary. A year ago, stepped onto a plane and landed in Portugal to this beautiful sky to start a new chapter. It was a bit cloudy when she arrived just over a year ago. And her dad's been over. So normally I ask Sarah how it's going with the Portuguese language. Her dad, Keith, was over. He was taken, along with Mum Susan, who took the picture of Keith there, to Sinatra. They had a lovely time in Sinatra, which is, of course, Sintra. And Keith wanted to learn a bit of Portuguese. This is Sarah Davey teaching Portuguese to her dad. Obrigado, she said, you need to say to people when you want to say thank you. He was heard later on in the day saying oregano to a complete stranger. So there you go, a little bit of news and congratulations there for Sarah Davey and family this evening. Well done, Keith. Keep it up. Yeah, the hashtag there. If that's going to trend on X, it should be herbs before verbs. Right, let's go into your questions. Make sure your questions go into the chat for us this evening. This is the Town Hall with the Dream Team every other week with Expats Portugal, live on the internet via YouTube as well. Jerry, can I ask you if you're able to pop the link? This is Jeannie's request about the giving back, the general idea of giving back. It'd be great if that could go into the chat.
Yeah,
excellent.
Yeah, I'm on it. I'm on it.
And there will be a gathering for that for Expats Portugal members. Is it this coming Sunday afternoon?
No, the Sunday after. So it's the I think it's the 15th. Is that right?
Okay, we'll get back to you on that. Thank you very much for that. And thank
No,
you for
it's
that
not.
question,
Sorry, it's
Julie.
not the 15th. I beg your pardon. It's the 18th of May.
18th,
18th of
and
May.
I think you said between 5 and 6 there. Find out more
right,
at
yes.
the website there. Thanks, Jeannie, for that prompt. Clint, does anyone have any good tips, thoughts on needing luggage certificates when traveling with moving boxes through an airline into Portugal from the USA? I breezed through my customs on my last trip with many boxes. Was I just lucky? What was your view on this, Gilda, having dealt with many people who come through and perhaps don't get stopped in that way at the airport?
Well, this is a sensitive subject because it's you know, you need to have like a certificate. You need to prove that you already live in Portugal and that you have your tax residency in Portugal. And sometimes when you are trying to do that, you don't have your IMA appointment yet. So it's a kind of circus number that we try to do, changing your tax address before you get your IMA appointment.
Oh, okay.
And then with that, you go to the consulate and ask for the luggage certificate.
Right.
So you won't have any problems bringing your things to Portugal.
Okay. All right. And I think we're probably getting some sort of first person testimony about how people came through. Debbie, for example, came through March 3rd with 7 suitcases and a carry-on, and they were barely glanced at in customs, and they waved me on. That can happen, but you can't take that for granted, can you, Gilda?
No.
The implications if you do get stopped, what's likely to happen?
Well, they can ask for the receipts because they want to make sure that those things are yours. And if they understand, they can charge VAT on some things.
Yeah. Okay. So it's basically catching customs tax, isn't it? It's people bringing things in to resell. That's the basic gist of it. So make sure you've got receipts to prove that these things belong to you. Thanks, Gilda. Is there anything else you want to say on that for Clint? I think that's probably everything there, isn't it? Okay. Right. I'll come back to that, Jose, in just a moment, if I may. Nunu, does the new insurance solution you mentioned include covering house goods? So contents as well that are put into long-term storage back in the USA, but not in a home in the USA. Okay, so stored effects. Could you offer an insurance policy for that? I think getting a nod from Clint on that.
Only the building.
Oh, okay. So only the building, not able to cover the effects at this moment. Thank you, Nunu, for that. Thank you for the question, Clint. A somewhat poignant request for help here from Trevor. Boa noite, obrigado to everyone on the Dream Team that assisted us in setting up our life in Portugal. We've not been able to renew our residence permits since they expired last August. And our lease ends this month, and we have decided to return our residence to the USA while we travel full-time. We never relinquished our USA residence and still have our US ID and driver's licenses. How do we uncouple ourselves from Portugal? Now, Gilda, presumably you can do that. You can sort of reverse engineer these things, but we've never had to answer that question before.
I'm so sad.
Yeah, right.
I keep telling people that our clients never go back.
Yeah, well, this seems to be the situation for Trevor, and we are really sorry to hear this.
Trevor, do you want to talk a little bit more about it? It's just because of the issue of the renewal, or is that something else?
Okay, we got a
no, actually, the renewal was kind of the icing of the cake. But we traveled for over 4 months last year. And we just were like, wow, we really want to travel more. And so that's not going to really conform to the stay requirements in country for after renewal. And so it just became kind of, we don't want to be a resident to 2 countries when we're not going to live in either one of them for the next 2 or 3 or 4 years.
Yes.
Okay, so in that case, it's going to be very important to make the change of your tax residency.
Yes, so we just had a friend of ours that relocated back to the US. And since we did not relinquish, we were just going to re-upload our US Real ID driver's licenses to finances and have them revert our NIF back to the original US address, because our lease will be up at the end of May, and we we don't have a valid residence permit.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so
the mainly, I don't know, Daniel's, if I'm forgetting something, but I think that the main thing is to change the tax address in
Yep,
them.
I agree. It's indeed the tax address that you need to be aware of, and other things like the rental agreement and stuff like that that you don't need or you shouldn't have any loose ends.
Also bank accounts, because
Oh,
if
yeah.
they keep opened, they are going to make these
Deduct money,
debits of the
yeah.
maintenance.
Eventually, if you just wipe clean the bank account, it will shut itself down after a year of not being used. But don't leave any money over there, because if you do, they'll just deduct any maintenance fees out of the account. And other stuff like utility bills and whatnot. In terms of the delivery of the rental, please do that with time. And there's a lot of court cases nowadays that we're having for people that have the deposit retained by the landlord. So this is something to be aware of, as well as do a proper handover of the property and be sure that you have a document that the property is in a good state of delivery, because otherwise you may be with a surprise at the end of the day that the landlord doesn't want to return the money back. Even if they say so when you're handing over the property, have a written document that everything is fine, because otherwise this may be a nasty surprise.
okay, Trevor. Well, sorry to hear that situation.
Well, we just want to thank Daniel, because we have taken his advice for all these years, and we have positioned ourselves in exactly the position he articulated.
Excellent.
We have a landlord who is a really good local personal friend. It's a lease agreement on a no deposit, no nothing, just hello, and yeah, pay your rent. And
you're a local. You're a local, Trevor.
Yeah, we were a local. It was a handshake deal.
Yeah,
And you don't
buy
get
him a
any
nice
better.
bottle of wine, because that's rare, to be honest.
Yes.
It was, and the thing was is we're working with New Last with our MGen, because shutting down our Millennium account, it's like, okay, well, we are in the middle of an MGen year, so we're working that out. But because Millennium, you really almost have to go in person to close the account. But yeah, we were going to we're traveling in Europe for the rest of this year, so we were just going to continue to deplete our Millennium count as we work our way through the Eurozone.
Wow. Okay. Well, bon voyage, bon voyage. All the best to you, Trevor.
Yeah, thank you.
And safe onward journey to you both.
Carl, can I just ask one question to Trevor?
Yeah, of course.
Trevor, and so if I understand correctly, you are leaving Portugal as a tax resident.
We are. We have been since 2022.
Okay, but will you come back?
That is a good question. We have thought about coming back on another D7 in several years.
Okay. Because just to give you a heads up that if you live in this year, for example, but if you come, you can unregister yourself as tax resident. But if you come back the next year, you will be deemed resident the whole period. So it's like you've never gone.
Right. And so what we were going to do, because we'll be here actually only 5 months this year, was file next year the 5 months of this year as a partial, if that makes sense.
Yes,
And
it is.
then
It does.
and then exit. Like I said, change our NIF address at the end of the month, as long as that goes through, but then file the 5 months just as a final return, like we did when we got here on a partial return. And then it would be at least a minimum of 2 + 3 years of traveling before we decide to come back on a new D7 and restart the process. But I think we just want to.
Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And a great answer as well, Trevor. So yeah, all the best to you both. Good to hear your voice tonight. And two obvious questions arise from that. I'm surprised nobody else has asked this. How do they get the number of that landlord so they can take up that rental in the Algarve, for one? And the other is, you mentioned maybe coming back again on a D7. Gilda, are there time limits, delays, anything you need to observe if you reapply, and how many times can you do it?
The law doesn't establish a limit, so you can always apply for a new D7.
Okay, so you could just keep going. You could have it for whilst you're here, meet the criteria, get your residency, move again if you wanted to, and then come back and try again.
What
Yeah, and
I
then we're
would-
on the original.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're on the original NHR, so we'll give up the years that were gone, but we'll still have remaining years if we want to come back.
Oh, interesting. Okay, you suspend those. Okay.
Yeah. Trevor, what I would do before you leave is I would try to renew my residency permit, because then the renewal it's going to be for 3 years.
Yeah, we've tried. The only thing is our lease is up in 3 weeks.
Okay.
And we have plans to be in Albania and Dubai. And
Oh,
everything, so-
Trevor, you're just making us envy. You were
Yeah,
traveling.
okay. Yeah, that's right. We've had enough now.
I won't
Trevor.
talk to
Thank
you anymore. Go.
She's
Have a
done.
nice trip.
Oh, we
Bye.
would have loved to. We were trying. I went down to the Tavira IRN and I had a lovely conversation with the guy. And it would have been great to renew him right then and there in January, but
Sadly not.
it was
right?
to no
Okay.
avail.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, all the best to you. Amazing.
Thank you.
Send postcards from
yeah,
Albania.
definitely. Yes, we want postcards that we can read out on a Thursday now as well.
Will do.
Cheers, Trevor. Okay. Well, and Shannon, bye for now. Okay. So let's go back to see which other questions we've got coming in. Thank you very much. Gregory, in applying for a D7 visa, is it better to start looking for a 1-year lease before booking an appointment with VFS or after getting the appointment? What would you say, Gilda?
It needs to be before, so that when you go to the appointment, you show that you already have a lease agreement.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can be in trouble and the visa can be denied.
And
then it's going to take more time for you to lease. And
yep, there you go, Gregory. And your assistant in Coimbra agrees, Gilda. ASAP, says Debbie, as rentals are hard to find. However, once you make the appointment, start searching for a rental in earnest 2 months before the appointment. Yes. Is it harder to find a place during the summer months? If we can just ask you to put your Casa Portuguesa hat on, is it harder to find a place? I guess it depends, right, on where that place might be and whether it's affected by the tourist season.
yes, it depends a lot if it is if it has to do if it is a touristic area, but also summer it's the market, it's very warm because school starts in September and everyone wants to settle down in July, August.
Yep, there you go. All right, thank you for that. Or should I say oregano to you for that that answer. Let's go back to Daniel for a moment. Daniel, there were questions coming in about political, I was going to call it advertising, but I think it's like, you know, party political broadcasting. The flavor of Portuguese electoral battles pre-election. The posters I see are very savage. Does that sort of thing go on the television as well, Daniel, in your conversation with Diana that's in the chat here?
Well, what I was discussing with Diana is the political advertisements that the Portuguese funds or the public pays. So those times that you'll see the Tim is paid by the Portuguese government, and allows all the parties that will have or that will try to have a seat in the election to chip in and to have some airtime. So that is different. The political posters that you'll see, they are indeed savage, and some of the parties are quite creative, and it's a no rules world because they rip each other out quite extensively, and that's fun to see. In terms of the televisions and the debates, sometimes that happens. It happened with Montenegro in the last debate where everyone was attending. that he said something smart, and people said, well, you should start a consultancy company. And the consultancy company was what led to this election. So they do rip each other out in the debates, and that's usually fun to see. Although usually they maintain a civil tone. It's not something out of this world. They maintain a civil tone, but sometimes they funnily get into each other's trough that I find quite amusing.
Right. Okay. And of course, just to remind people that residents don't get to vote, but citizens do. If you're a resident in Portugal and you'd like to have some influence in local government, you can do that. And to do that, Daniel, you need to go along to your local freguesia, right, and register yourself as a resident, or make it known that you're a resident and that you would like to vote.
Yeah, that's it. The enrollment needs to occur in the freguesia where you live. And if you are already a Portuguese citizen, once you do change your tax domicile to somewhere else, then you'll vote in that other place. So your tax residency as a Portuguese citizen is tightly connected with the place where you vote. It's
Okay.
interesting.
Yes, very good. I think it's a pretty good show of local democracy and influence as well, isn't it? I think a lot goes on at that level. It certainly seems to be like that where I live. And that's coming up in September, I believe.
Yeah, those elections, the local ones, will occur in September. And I do think it's the most democratic elections that we have, because you usually know some of the people in the lists. It's either your neighbor or the people where you buy your bread from. It's interesting because you'll see the politicians or the political the political game in the most purest forms. And I find that interesting, and I like it's probably the elections that I like the most, is the local ones. And you'll see some cool land people as well with outlandish ideas, but it's part of the game.
Very good. Okay. Yes, and you're right. I do live next door to the president, who I think will be replaced in September. And I have learnt and overheard some of the grandmothers, the donas in the bakery, abusing some of the local politicians as well, which added to my vocabulary as well. You're right. It's very accessible. And
Yep.
Debbie saying, wait, what, residents can vote? That's why I mentioned it. It is incredible. You don't have to become a citizen to vote in the local election. So yes,
Right.
Debbie, get to your local freguesia and have some influence locally, and ask for those potholes to be filled up or whatever facilities you'd like. Were you going to add something there, Daniel?
The mindset behind residents being able to vote on the local elections is that, well, it's a form of participation for people that do reside in that place and that are directly affected by, well, the potholes not being taken care of, or the local municipality not cleaning the streets and whatnot. So they should have a saying in the way that the municipality is run. But again, they need to enroll, and this is a situation that the majority of people don't know. They need to enroll in the municipality beforehand, in the Junta de Freguesia, because otherwise this doesn't happen automatically. For Portuguese citizens, it does. You're automatically enrolled. You don't need any enrollment. You just pop up on the day of the elections and say, I want to vote. You deliver your citizen's card, and that's it. For residents, you'll need to enroll beforehand.
Very good. Thank you, Daniel. And I think Debbie's quite excited by this. Go ahead, Debbie.
Yes, I am. But as a side note, I didn't know when I moved here that I could vote in my US elections and my state and local elections without having to have an absentee ballot mailed to me. And so I'll put the link in the thing. There's it's called Vote From Abroad, votefromabroad.org. And it's the UOCAVA Act that was put into effect by President Reagan way back whenever he was in, I think I was a kid. But anyway, it's a way to vote without having to have a piece of paper go over the ocean and get lost. And so I just want to encourage, if you live in another country, but you are a USA voter, you can do it. And I'll put the link in the, it's free, and I'll just put the link in the chat.
But how does it work? Is it electronic vote?
Okay, so how it works, I'll try to make it short. So each state is a little different, but I vote in Florida. So first, I had to register with Democrats from Abroad and let my supervisor of elections in Florida know, hey, I live overseas. but I'm going to still vote in Florida. So they said, oh, okay, no problem. We'll do the electronic vote. So then what they do when it's time to vote, they send an email with a secure link with passwords, and they say, okay, to vote, click on this link, put in the passwords, and then you go through and you vote on your computer. Then you print it and sign it and scan it. And then the US government has got a free electronic fax number. Remember faxes from the 70s?
Hold on a
So,
minute.
I mean, you don't
Reagan,
need to have
faxes, what next?
you don't need to have the machine. You just take your scan and you email it to the government, the US government thing. It's all in, you don't have to take notes. It's all in Democrats from abroad, not Democrats, votefromabroad.org.
Yes.
And yeah, I guess you know I'm a Democrat, but it's
I get that impression. I get that impression. But whatever your allegiance, is it fairly easy to do? Is that the gist of it?
Absolutely. It's very easy. And I have registered. So a friend of mine last year, she was the local volunteer, and she would offer to meet you to help you register, or she would come to our expat meetups with her laptop. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. Well, she doesn't want to do it this year, so I volunteered to do it. So I'm going to be doing that in Coimbra. And it doesn't matter what party you vote for or no party or whatever. But you have the right to vote in the USA thanks to the UOCAVA Act. You can Google it. I don't know what it stands for. So I didn't know that when I came here, and I was like, oh, I'm going to have my ballot mailed. No.
Very good. That's an excellent public service announcement from you, Debbie, at 1:30. We often hear from you, so thank you for that. Jeannie likes that as well. Thank you. Awesome thing to know. Thank you very much. I'm sure others are similarly complimentary too. You usually, says Jose, have to re-register every year. And you must vote in whatever state you were last resident in. You can vote for the congressman and your senators, as well as the presidential election. Thanks for that, Jose. Extra information there. And the link is in there, votefromabroad.org. That's awesome. Going back to Gregory, when do you become a tax resident in Portugal? And if it is in the middle of the tax year, are you responsible for paying taxes only on the income received after you became a tax resident, or for the entire year? Let's go to Pedro Franco for that.
Okay, so there is the law, so there is the theory, and there is the practice.
Right.
The theory is the law is that you are deemed resident after you spend 183 days in Portugal, consecutive or not, in any 12 months period. So this is a moving period. So we have to track down the nights. It's actually the nights, not the days that we spend in Portugal, and in any 12 months period.
Right.
In practice, so this is in theory, okay? And you are resident from day one, from the beginning. In practice, what we do is when you arrive and when you have your IMA appointment, and especially when you get your residency cards, that's the moment that you should wait no longer to change your tax residency, because also it will interfere in the future with renewing your visa. So you need to become resident when you get your residency cards.
Very good.
So of course that if you leave the country and you don't want to be deemed resident, you can do that, of course.
Yes.
But you have to bear in mind this 183 days rule. But in practice, most people do a self-assessment. Okay.
Okay.
Regarding the second part of the question, it's only income received after tax residency.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, Trevor was ahead of you there, and you're corroborating that. Thank you as the expert. Thank you very much for that, Pedro. Excellent. Gregory, makes sense. Obrigado. Very good. Good stuff. And we've got another question. Thank you, Pedro, for the moment. Yeah, get your questions in. We've got about 20 minutes to go. Sometimes people leave it until the last minute and then we can't ask the question. So if you've got a question, please pop it into the chat now. Planning on leaving the US, says Mark, and becoming a resident of Portugal on a D7 visa. That said, I'm having difficulty understanding the requirements for being in Portugal, both during the first 2-year residency period and the 3-year period that follows. This is for you, Gilda, obviously. In an ideal world, I'd like to spend 6 consecutive months plus 1 day in Portugal and spend the balance of the year in the US. Is this possible?
Hello. Here we are with this question.
Yes,
Lovely
it's a good old good
question.
one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So first thing you need to understand is that the requirements for the minimum staying are not per year, but per residency permit. So when we talk about 6 months in a row, we are talking about 6 months in a row in 2 years, not in 1 year. Bad news. Sorry.
Okay.
However, this is the rule. However, you have the exception. If you have reasons such as professional health reasons to be away from Portugal, you need to inform IMA, and then when the time comes to renew your residency permit, you need to show them the proofs why you were outside the country for more than that period.
Right, so there you go. Mark's listening intently. I hope that helps for you there, Mark. If you've got anything else, kind of. Right, okay.
Kind of.
Yeah, got it. I think perhaps that's a sort of personal situation to figure out how that's actually going to work there. But if you've got anything for us, Mark, any further questions, do pop them into the chat for us.
I'm going to put my email here.
Okay, so that you can speak that or deal with that one-to-one there. Very good. Okay, thank you very much. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my cultural question of the evening, because I know probably some other questions are going to come in. People either embarrassed about asking them or they just suddenly occur to people. Do want to also let you know that the information has been put into the chat by Jerry. Thanks for that. Could you be a mentor, coach, advisor, role model, volunteer, or angel investor as a foreigner, as an immigrant, as an expat coming into Portugal, and you want to give back? There's going to be a meeting about that, not this Sunday, but the Sunday after, which will be the 18th, to have an informal discussion about that and see. I mean, so many people feel excited about doing that. You must hear this all the time, Gilda. People are grateful to be here in Portugal, and they do want to find a way of giving back to the culture. So I'm sure that's going to be an interesting conversation there, and people can find out how to express themselves and give back in that way. The thing I want to ask you, panel, Dream Team tonight, thank you for putting your email there, Gilda, by the way, for Mark, and you'll be getting an obrigado from Mark as well there. I think it is the season for fruit here in Portugal. I don't know if you can see this, but it's not look at them apples, it's look at them strawberries. Look at those beauties there from the supermarket. My studio here smells of strawberries, and the field near me where these grow on a hot summer's day, you can smell a fragrance of strawberries in the air. Not far from me as well, there are these unusual creatures here, Nespera fruits. I don't think I've asked you this before, Portuguese people. Pedro's laughing already. Jerry's recoiling in horror. I think of the Nespera fruit. Is it the way I'm holding them? I want to ask our Portuguese panel here, what fruit?
Carl, I didn't know you could detach them. Congratulations.
Do you know what? I'm seeing myself on YouTube now. That's got to be some clickbait right there, Jerry. Thank me later. Okay, right. I didn't think of that. I didn't think that through in advance, and I won't be doing that again in any time soon. Portuguese panel. Pedro, you were laughing, shocked at the Nespera for one reason or another. This is a great country for fruit. It really is amazing. I think some of the best orange juice in the world. And there's a guy who pulls up at the bottom of my street. He's got these Algarvian oranges that are like bowling ball oranges. The juice is fantastic. Pedro, what would you recommend as a good fruit for people to try that they might not have had in their native country?
Well, I call Portugal is like a zoo because you have an animal of each species. You have a lot of diversity. So it's not a country of volume, but it's a country of diversity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you currently live in the best area for fruits, which is the west.
Alcobaça, yes.
Yes, all the west, okay? You have the pears, the apples, the strawberries. So you have a lot of fruits in that area. I don't have a favorite one. My favorite one, I like fruit of the season. So I don't I rarely eat mangoes or tropical fruits like not pineapple, but the one that comes from Latin America. So I usually eat fruit from the season.
Yeah, very good. And
And
I
I
think
love all kinds of fruits. So
it's definitely strawberry season. And when I saw these with my wife in the supermarket, she said, "Oh, they might be from Spain." And then we saw it said Portugal, and that
yeah,
means they could even be from just up the road. And it's
and
fragrant. It's extraordinary. I can't wait.
I have nothing against normal agriculture, conventional agriculture using chemicals, etc. Nothing against it. But if you see uh, biological strawberries,
Yes.
so organic strawberries, they have a very small shelf life,
Yeah.
but the smell of those and the taste is incredible.
Yeah, it's a childhood thing, isn't it? Amazing, like shelling peas as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. Wonderful. Thanks, Pedro Franco. Eating season, and there will be something in every season here for you to enjoy. Pedro from Winsurance, what do you have to say on this?
I was just following what Pedro was saying, and I'm a big fan of fruit without chemicals.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, and I mean to make that point that you can get a biologique and organic fruit here, can't you? If you know a
Yes,
supplier.
it's quite easy to get it. But like Pedro was saying, this is the time to eat all kind of the season fruit because it starts showing now, like nésperas. We will soon be having a lot of berries, from blueberries to all kind of berries, watermelon, melons, a lot of fruit.
Yeah.
So it's time to eat fruit.
Go for it, folks. And so, but you don't have a particular recommendation. Is it like
Um,
Pedro, just a
I'm
eat?
like Pedro. I really enjoy a lot of fruit. So my recommendation, I'm a big fan of watermelon. So
Oh,
when it's
excellent.
time, eat it as
Okay,
much as you
fantastic.
can.
Okay, a madroña will be coming soon. That's a tree strawberry. That's an unusual fruit that you might not have had. And if you don't eat it as a fruit, you're very likely to be drinking it as a
Yeah.
distilled liquor at some point as well here in Portugal. Thanks, both of the Pedros. Let's go to Daniel Reis. Your favorite fruit, your favorite Portuguese fruit, please.
I would say eventually figs.
Figs, yes.
Figo Dona Amélia. And this is something that you only usually find during summertime, especially down south in Algarve. And if anyone in the chat here has well, they can go to the Olhão markets during the time that they are open in the summertime, where you see a lot of fruits. Once you enter those markets and you smell all the fruits, it's lovely. So it's something that I really do enjoy when I'm down there in Algarve, is go to the markets just to see the local fruits and whatnot. But my favorite is indeed figs. They're lovely.
You know what? I think that was one of my first memories of being in Portugal. As long as getting along to the cafe, obviously to have a cafe and pastel de nata together and take a photograph of it. A hot fig,
Yeah,
a fig that's warm off the tree is
yeah,
an
it's lovely.
extraordinary thing as well, isn't it? In the height of the summer,
It is
beautiful.
indeed.
And I think Jerry, you might have put Sarah off figs. Is that right? Was it you that? Do I remember correctly there?
Yes, I think I pointed out that there are actually dead insects inside the figs, which the crunchy bits are the dead insects. So I think she stopped eating them as a
You put a
result
few
of
more
that.
people
But
off.
I absolutely
Good
totally
job,
agree
thank
with
you.
what Daniel said about Oleal. And in fact, we will be there in 2 or 3 weeks' time. We will be in Oleal on Saturday morning at the markets on an Expats Portugal
Oh,
meetup.
marvelous.
It's
Awesome.
lovely.
So,
Yeah.
I'll be delighted to point that out to some
Yeah.
people when we get.
The fragrance will be amazing, won't it? Incredible, incredible. Okay. Nunu, what about you?
Okay, so I really love all kind of fruit, but there is a exquisite one. Is a winter season fruit, which is awesome. There are two kinds of
Yes.
parman. The ones that are more I don't know the term, that are more
Juicy.
rich, and the others that just melt.
Yes, yes.
These are the ones that I love. I really
Yeah.
love.
Some people know them as diospyros as well,
Yes,
don't they?
yes,
Or kaki fruit as well. Maybe a custard apple. I'm not sure. Maybe that's something different. But a good persimmon fruit, you can just take the top off and stick your spoon in it, and it is just like liquid nectar, isn't it? I'm salivating just talking about it. It's absolutely delicious. So do try that. And what a treat to have in the winter as well. That's fantastic. Okay. So you can imagine Nuno in his scout outfit. He's got his knife out. He's taking the top off of persimmon fruit and he's enjoying himself in the Garden of Eden here in Portugal with the fruit. Thank you very much. Jerry, you didn't say what your favorite was. He's gone to get something, I think. Maybe he's gone to the fruit bowl. Okay, all right. Let's go to Pedro. Who's which Pedro is that? Who's raised your hand there?
Just want to compliment what Nuno was saying about the persimmon, because there are two types of persimmon. One, the one that you were saying that you can eat with a spoon.
Yes.
Is very fruity, and other one that it's like an apple, and you have to eat with a knife or
yes,
and eat it.
Yeah, very good. Slightly tougher flesh there. Oh, I'm so glad I asked this because clearly you Portuguese folks are really passionate about the fruit here that you've been lucky enough to grow up with. Before, I think probably going to have a final comment then from Gilda. Apart from this other question, a late question as I suspected that's come in. This is about brewing and home brew here. John O'Connor, is brewing your own beer allowed in Portugal, and are supplies available? There are some great small craft breweries here, a really strong and growing network of those, and home brew. Gilda, people do brew beer at home as well as the craft breweries that seem to be emerging. Has Gilda gone to the fruit bowl as well?
No.
Oh, okay, you're there.
I didn't understand the first part.
There is home brew, as in, yeah, I guess that maybe it's the phrase I've used, but people do brew their own beer at home right here in Portugal. It's a culture.
Yes, some of them. It's now a kind of new fashion.
Yes.
Everyone is trying to do it. It's
beer
beer and kombucha.
And kombucha as well. Okay, you can keep the kombucha. I'll have a beer with you, but yeah, not such a big fan of the kombucha, unless I'm holding my nose and just swig it quickly. And Daniel's keen to point out it's fine to brew beer, but don't sell it, because then you'll find yourself in other difficulties. But you could get a license and you could start a craft brewery. To conclude for us tonight, then, Gilda. Oh, actually, no, hold on, Debbie. My dog and I love watermelon. Also, blueberries. She eats them with every meal. Dog's eating blueberries. That's amazing. I post my photos and videos on this website. Thanks, José Cruz. And I posted a short video of the waitress at Cafe Park in Santa Cruz making me a glass of fresh orange juice in their Zumoval machine, and it has 68,000 views so far. It is absolutely the most delicious orange juice I've tasted. People say that. Even people from Florida say the orange juice is better here in Portugal. Absolutely best sumo laranja in the world. Debbie, who I think has some experience of Florida there. I noticed many properties have vineyards, small or otherwise. Are they eating grapes, vines? Are eating grapevines just as common? Pedro Franco, you were saying not as common, but we do eat them, and they are, yeah. Really, the priority for grapes is for making wine in Portugal. So, obviously, thanks for that, Pedro. Thank you, Pedro, as well. Gilda, finally then, on this dream team, town hall this evening, what's your favorite fruit? What do you suggest people try?
Well, I'm with Daniel. I love figs.
Figs as well.
Yes, I love the smell. And when I was pregnant, I would eat a whole box of it.
Right. Okay. Excellent.
And
okay.
Sometimes when I go out and I buy them in the markets, I get home without none of them.
Oh, of course. Excellent.
I eat them all
an empty bag next to you in the car. Totally get it. And of course, don't forget, people dry the fruit here as well in Portugal. That's if it does last, if Gilda doesn't get hold of it. Gilda, thank you. All of the dream team, thank you very much indeed. Last word. Oh, fig rolls don't count. Honestly, Pedro, what you like. You can buy them probably in the expat shop down in the Algarve. Jerry, forthcoming attractions.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Dream Team. Forthcoming attractions. Next Thursday evening, our early webinar will be on cost of living in Portugal with Astrid's famous shopping list. I think it's involving spaghetti bolognese and the cost of all of that and the cost of utilities, followed by the reverse of the Dream Team, the Premier Lounge, which is the reverse where we ask our members to talk and our Dream Team answer rather than the other way around. And then on the following Sunday, I think, as you've already mentioned, Carl, we've got this webinar regarding Give Back. And then I think we're getting close to our next meetup in Tavira and Oleão. So boat trip, a lot of bookings coming through for that. Lots of people booking the boat trip. We need to send you a note and tell you to remind you to bring your binoculars and your cozy and all that kind of stuff. And we're in for another wonderful time in Expats with Expats Portugal members.
Absolutely superb. Okay, muito obrigado to everybody this evening. Good to see you. I've got a date with a great big strawberry now. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon and evening. Take care, and bye for now. Ciao, ciao.
And Carl, put that through.